Hello and welcome back to another episode of Shit You Should Know. Today we've got Vince here with us and we're going to just talk a little bit about fitness, business, life, mental health and whatever else we cover really. So just to start off with, Vince, do you want to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Yeah, okay. Vince Weavers. Do I need to be based on that?
It doesn't matter. Yeah, you can look anyway, don't worry.
So Vince Weavers, I've kind of been grown up around locally all my life, worked around here locally, worked away, owned a business around here, trained around here, dealt with mental wellbeing issues around here, particularly around COVID, I think, and having a family as well.
Yeah.
And then, I think kind of developed a bit of a passion for fitness, well-being, mental health. I think they all kind of work in the same sphere, and I think I use that predominantly through my life to balance work as well. When the whole day job thing becomes a little bit too much, or when we fill the glass up a little bit too much, I think that's where we kind of turn to our fitness, well-being, and mental health coping mechanisms.
Yeah, because I saw the beach walks that you did. But how long was that? Like 2 years ago now, or are you still doing them? Or?
They're still out. They're still out there. To be fair, it was mainly during lockdown. So when we were everybody was kind of allowed to go out again, I found it was really beneficial for myself. I think the beginning of COVID and lockdown, it was a bit of a pressure cooker environment. So there was myself, Tony, and the two boys, and overnight we were almost put into one space to kind of figure out how to keep on schooling, keep on working, homeschool the kids, and it was a lot. And then obviously you're only kind of allowed out in your back garden. So I think as soon as we were allowed out, and I headed straight for the beach. And I think for me, being in nature, that is the key. If a walk and a talk is good, just getting a bit of sunlight, breathing in the fresh air, it's all good. But if you can do that in nature, in a blue space or a green space, it's definitely compounds the good effects, I think.
So say that, don't they, about seeing the colour green is really beneficial for
you. So there's a few studies. There's a really good book called Blue Mind, and that's kind of the psychology of what being in around water does. So kind of the sound of it, the touch of it, being immersed in it as well. So kind of read that. It's a cool little book. So check that out. Blue Mind.
Blue Mind.
I think in a green space, in a blue space, just walking out, you get that sense of just calming down. You get that sense of feeling a bit more peace. And I kind of connected with that. So originally, when I was doing the walks, kind of walking by myself with my headphones on, tunes on, and kind of not really being present in the environment. I think my headphones died one morning, and I just walked out, and just to actually be connected, hearing the shells crunch under your feet, listening to the sea, listening to the birds, feeling the breeze on your face. It's just a lot more of a connected experience. And I think, that's when I started offering it out to other people. It did me good, so I thought, why not offer that out to others? So,
just for anyone listening as well who doesn't know, what was them walks like? What was it about? Who was?
I just went out on socials, LinkedIn as well, posted just saying if anybody wanted to go for a walk and a talk. So if anybody felt like stressed, felt that the bar was higher than usual. I used to do it while I was walking. So while I was walking, I would explain how it was making me feel. And I think some of the examples of the walks and talks I did do, there were people who wanted to talk. So there were kind of a bit of a walk side by side down the beach and back. You can do that on a high tide if the tides are right. That's a great feeling. while the sun's rising as well. That's a great feeling. Other people just kind of wanted to be with somebody, just walking with somebody, so no words really spoken.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's what I like about walking as well, is that you don't always have to be talking, do you? Like, you can just walk and just be present with each other. You don't have to have a conversation going on all the time.
No, I think that for me, they're kind of you can almost you don't need to say anything. You can kind of feel yourself balancing.
Yeah.
In terms of, like you said, about sort of working around here, training around here, things like that. So, background in training and stuff like that, sort of like exercise, even just like say walks and stuff. What is your training background?
So I've always worked out. So back to when I was an apprentice on the Humber Bank, joined what was the Body Studio. Sorry. The Body Studio. No, it was where Oasis is now.
Oh. Right.
Yeah, so it's Oasis now. So joined there, and then kind of going further back as a child growing up, was into martial arts. So always kind of had a kind of a baseline or background in being fit and doing exercise. Again, I think I'm going to say late 70s I was born. But kind of raised in the 80s, from that generation where there weren't any phones, there weren't any computers, didn't have a lot of screen time. So we were always out and about doing stuff, exercising. So I think naturally you kind of look for that. So yeah, Oasis is where I started training, and then kind of all the way up to today. I've trained at Oasis. I've done my own training. Trained at Paul Walker's down the seafront. CrossFit Grimsby, trained there as well, and then done my own stuff. So I quite often like going for a yomp, a hike, so just in nature or up a hill. So at the minute I'm training for the fan dance, which is the fan dance. So it's a loaded. So it's like a military based thing. It's a SAS selection march. So you do it at penny fan. So you start off at the infamous red fan box, and then you go for 16-17 miles, and then you finish back at the same point. But you're loaded, so you're with. So it ends up being over 40 pounds of weight. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's good. So
when's that one?
Yeah.
That's 6th of July. Nice. So yeah.
There's a lot of people that do it at the same time.
Yeah. There's a couple of different event organisers in the country. But yeah, done it before. It's great fun. It's a challenge. But yeah, just train here locally or go away. Just kind of getting a bit of distance in, training with a bit of weight, training with no weight as well to get the pace up. So I think locally around here at Croxby, going and doing trying to improve week on week on doing the Croxby crawl. Yeah. That's good. And then kind of start adding a bit of weight in as well. So, but yeah, I think for me, look, I've always liked. Well, I say always. It started with the gym. Then there was a bit of martial arts, so I went into boxing a little bit, and then kind of back to really functional fitness. So CrossFit I enjoyed CrossFit. Obviously, getting older, I was kind of starting to suffer with a few injuries. So I kind of really pared back my training to just functional fitness. So body weights, not large weights, higher reps, keeping the heart rate up there. So yeah, and that's that I love. I just love functional training, stuff that you can use in your everyday life.
Yeah. And when you do find those everyday movements or actions that you do, like, oh yeah, this is why I train. Like, this is nice and easy because I train for this.
Well, yeah. So we went out. We did a little loop of Croxby last week, and took my youngest with me, and the forest part at the end. He ran down the hill. I was like, where's he off to? And he kind of got to the bottom, stopped, and he was like, if I beat you to the top of Heartbreak Hill, you're buying dinner. So I kind of just caught him, and as soon as I got to the bottom, and he was off. So yeah, he
did that work the other way? Like, was he getting dinner if you won?
Well, yeah. But no, he shot up it, which was and again, you know, both the boys are into their training as well. They do kickboxing. So
how old are they?
So Luke is 16 and Miles is 11. So it's again, both nature boys. They both like being out in nature.
And do you think that's important as well for you to show them that you're still training, you're still doing fitness, and try and kind of not tell them to, but show them that's the way of the living as well, so they pick up on that?
Yeah, definitely. So you know, going out for walks. Like I say, they've got the kickboxing, so that's the kind of staple exercise. We tried, I think, like with everything, you try over the years of them growing up different. So we've done swimming, we've done rugby, we've done basketball, we've done all sorts. But yeah, kickboxing is where it's landed now. And then they love being in nature as well. But I think it is important to kind of show or demonstrate an active lifestyle for sure. You know, both myself and Tony we're active in our day-to-day lives, and I think so. As Luke was getting older, 16, he entered an event that I did, a charity event at the gym that I train at the moment, and it was kind of a workout. So it was run, exercise for, I can't remember how many stations, but it was close to an hour and 3/4 workout. And Luke rented me, so it was me and Tony originally, but Tony got ill. So Luke stepped in the last minute, and he did fantastic.
Wow.
He did really good. He hadn't prepared for it. But we just kept going. Just one.
I feel like 16 is that age where you can just go for it, because you kind of gone through puberty, you gained a bit of strength, you did quite a step up of PE at school, but you're not quite old enough where you've got like aches and pains and niggles and like you're gonna get DOMs the next day. You seem to be able to do anything, don't you?
Yeah. So Lucas, he's 6'6", I mean, he's nearly 6'7".
Wow.
He's a big lad. So
and he's 16.
Yeah, he's 16. Yeah, so he's a big lad.
Wow.
So you know, for him to do that, there were a couple of things, you know, in terms of technique that I kind of took. You had a number of reps that you had to do between you for the exercise.
Is it like a high rock style thing?
Kind of like a high rock style thing, yeah. So number of reps between you. And then do a couple of exercises that I took the full hit on, and then straight out running again. But no, he did fantastic. And again, I think another important thing, everywhere that I've trained, it's that sense of family, team, goal. Yeah. You know, it definitely shows when you're kind of at events where you've got people kind of spurring you on to finish. So yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, do you find any benefits in your everyday life then of training as well, like in terms of work, productivity, energy levels? Do you find that training is helping you manage it? Even like you said, when stress out of COVID, like going out for a walk helps reduce that stress. Do you find that helps a lot with managing just day-to-day life and weekly stresses?
Yeah. So I think for me, I've got an office-based job, so you know, I think you could argue that I could if I didn't choose to sit there for 7.5 hours a day looking at a screen. Again, where I work, we've got the rise and fall desks. You're encouraged to kind of walk and talk on your headsets as you're going around. So I think again, training. I think once you're in that mindset where you're active, you seek to be active. Yeah. So you are always moving around or trying to move around as much as you can. And I think, you know, as well, it has a further impact on if you're looking after yourself. Yes, you're more alert, feel like you've got more energy. We can talk about this part in another question, but I get up very early as well. So I'm up early. So I think for me it's about making sure your routine's right as well. So you're minimising the resistance in your day to starting your day actively, and it's something that I've really only kind of, I think, nailed in my 40s, to kind of get a really good flow and to be consistent with it, I think. And again, one thing, consistency is key with everything, I think, as well. But yeah, certainly in my day-to-day, being active has a positive impact on, you know, mental function and alertness, and actually embodying that you know, the movement. So making sure that you move around, making sure that you're drinking plenty of water, making sure that you're standing up for a meeting, making sure you're walking around for a meeting, that kind of thing. So, you know. Yeah,
I like that you said you're encouraged to walk and talk at the same time. That's good, isn't it? Because there are a lot of jobs where you are just on the phone, that if you're walking around, and isn't it that thing where you're more, you're better with your speech and you're better with words and the, not affection, what's the like emotion that you come across when you're up and moving, it's much more pronounced than if you just sat still. So I bet that helps as well.
Yeah, I think, and it's that whole thing, isn't it? Because I think if you're walking around, there's something about your brain's focused on you walking around, so actually your free speech just comes out.
Yeah.
So you're, I would say, a lot more authentic in your tone.
Yeah. Nice. Any questions?
No.
So moving on to another question then. I'm just trying to see where we are now. We've just kind of been flowing through, seeing where we are.
We'll go a bit more on work. I've got a few more points. So obviously you said about you've got your day job. Is that set hours and stuff? You say it's office based, so
So it is office based. Well, again, I think since COVID, a lot of office environments, they kind of offer a hybrid working structure. So like what flows for our family setup is generally Monday and Friday at home, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the office, and then a set amount of hours. So 37 and a half. That can sometimes go up to 40. But yeah, that's kind of the standard working week, if you like. But again, with flexibility in there, so that you are able to, you know, live as well.
When you said about you said about your morning routine that you get up early and you found that flow. What is that flow?
It's 4:30 alarm. So it's straight up. Then it's straight into. I've actually just switched this around. So it's straight into a meditation. So I've only just. That's something very new to me.
What kind of meditation is it?
So it's focused on breath.
Yeah.
So just focusing on the sensation of breath. I can't talk too much about that because it's new to me. I'm reading and studying, but practicing. That's the key to it is practicing. But yeah, it's just focusing on the breath, and then ultimately that leads to focusing on other areas of your body as well. So yeah, a short meditation at the moment, and then into an hour yoga. So I do yin yoga, which is kind of a meditative style of yoga. So slow style and longer holds. So an hour of yoga, and then that kind of sets me up for the day.
And is that guided, or do you do that yourself with both meditation and yoga?
So the meditation, I just set a timer, and then the yoga is guided. So I use Down Dog Yoga app for that. So it's just an app that you can download from any app store. Fantastic. So it's a subscribed service, but I've been using that for, going to say, 4 or 5 years now. And it's just that handy because you can take it with you if you're going away, if you're going on business, if you're travelling, going on holiday, fancy doing a yoga session, and everything's in there. You've got your different styles, even chair-based yoga. So I've just subscribed to my mum to it. Then this year she's doing chair-based yoga, so we've just stepped through that together. So yeah, that's been a really good thing between myself and my mum. And then you've got all the different types of yoga. You've got different voices, different music, and then you've got your cashier where you can register and log your calendar, what you're doing, and save your favourite kind of positions and workouts.
And does it show it's like one long video, or is it little clips?
Yeah. One long video. So you can select the duration as well. So you can go anything from kind of 5 minutes up to an hour. An hour's the maximum. So yeah.
What sort of benefits have you felt from that, both physically and mentally?
So physically, so I think again, it's when you're younger, you're flying around at the gym like a lunatic. Everybody says make sure you stretch. You do your static and dynamic stretching. You know, I think I only really started to take that on board when I was in my mid-30s properly. So there's a lot of tension built up in my body over the years. So I would say definitely into my 40s, that's where the yoga's really kicked in. So I had a lower back injury. Going to say 3-4 years ago. And it was just a general lower back injury. I slipped off a step when I was just doing a circuit, jarred my back, and then it kind of went from there, and I kind of ended up with it kind of went into tension, and then I thought there was something wrong. I was at a specialist, having all the scans, but actually it was just general lower back pain. So the whole, if you like, the whole circle around my midcore was in tension. And then so that yoga's helped me hugely in terms of my flexibility and mobility. There's still a few positions where I'm reaching, for different goals and different limits, but I feel a lot more flexible than I've done in a long time.
And it's helped the back as well, the back injury.
Yes, yeah. Still, still stiff, still get the aches and pains. I think as you're getting older, but I'm a massive advocate of doing a yoga session a day.
Is that every day you do that as well?
Every single day, yeah. I mean, there may be the occasional slip, but I've kind of set my goal and my focus is an hour a day, and usually like in the morning, first thing in the morning when there's no distraction, least resistance to be able to do it. And I think that's what I was saying about the whole routine thing. Getting up early means there's no resistance. Kind of the world's sleeping, and you're kind of cracking on. Yeah.
It's nice about those few hours, isn't it? Until about 7-8 o'clock, you do feel like you're kind of winning on everyone else because everyone else is still asleep. Like, I've just gained these amount of hours in the morning. That's what I always think is interesting about when it gets to the night time as well, and people always delaying bedtime, and it gets to 9 o'clock and they'll start a series or start a film, and it's like you don't really gain that much in those last few hours of the day, but you'd be able to gain so much more from the hours in the morning. So it's flipping it around, isn't it, and saying, actually, it's the end of the day, I've got everything done, let's go to bed rather than procrastinate and delay tomorrow.
Yeah, and that is exactly how the day flows. Our youngest, he's kind of in bed for 8:30, and that's kind of when I head to bed as well. Or starts winding down. Maybe a bit of reading before bed. Again, maybe some kind of nature sounds as well, just to kind of bring your level of alertness down into more of a rested state.
Do you have a nighttime routine as well? Then it sounds like you've got a good.
Not per se. Again, I think it depends on the day. It depends on what kind of goes on in the day. Training. So the training kind of generally happens on an evening now. That's the sessions that I do. At the moment, they're all kind of evening based. So I think that when I'm training, then when I get home, it's shower, or if it's been a proper grueler, then or a Croxby, or if I've done a Croxby and then a training session the day afterwards, it's getting the bath with some salts, get some candles on, get some kind of chilled music on.
Like you say, just bring everything back down.
Just bring everything back down.
Yeah.
And I think again, it's only as I've got older that I've kind of found that to be something that helps me.
Yeah. Because I always think that so many people go through life just going from one thing to the next and never actually taking that time. Even like you said, to breathe as well. I guess you've read all into the breathing as well, but it's like we actually go through every day mostly breathing in our chest, and a lot of people have this. What's the word? I've got disengaged in my head. I always forget words whenever we record a podcast. Dysfunctional or disordered breathing. Disordered breathing where you're breathing through your chest and it's quite shallow rather than like the deeper belly breaths that you do. But actually, like say, starting your day with those deeper breaths can help get everything going in the right way. But it's never something that I've actually got round to doing. Yeah. But I do need to and would like to at some point.
Like sort of breath work.
Yeah.
It's surprising, like especially with like new members coming into the gym and stuff like that. If we're teaching like core exercises, like right, we're gonna teach you how to breathe, and like I've been breathing all my life, like. But then you do think when as soon as I start thinking about it, it's like they do.
And again, it takes so much practice and so much you've got to turn up and be consistent every day to figure out that the breathe. Like for me, it's yoga and meditation. That's my kind of focus. But breathing again, it's the same kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's removing all of the thoughts from your head as well, because as soon as you're not thinking about breathing, you think about something else, you're going to bring yourself back and go, no, focus on the breath. Do you find that quite hard?
It's the hardest thing.
Yeah.
The hardest thing. Yeah, it's again relatively new, and that's kind of one of the first goals is to actually figure out that you're thinking instead of focusing on breathing.
Yeah.
And then it is honestly it takes such long. Distraction is that's what it is. You're trying to figure out when you're not focusing on the breath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're gonna pull yourself back in, haven't you? Yeah. Have you tried it?
Not in that sort of depth. I've done like little bits of breath work, but is that using an app again? Did you say the breathing one?
No, it's not. It's there's a few books on breath and meditation. In fact, there are loads. There's so many. But I think pretty much all the books say the best thing you can do is just start practicing breathing.
Yeah. You should learn from practice, don't you?
Yeah.
Obviously, we touched on like the physical benefits. Has there been mental benefits as well that you've noticed more? Like, so obviously, I know you're fairly new to the meditation, but more like the yoga side of it, and just having that structure as well. Has there been anything noticeable there?
Yeah, so I think anything where you're kind of forming a kind of habit or a pattern around doing something that's good for you, that has a positive impact on you. And obviously, if it is exercise, if it is yoga, then I think for me it definitely helps. Particularly the type of yoga. So like yin is it's a very slow style yoga. So you allow yourself to kind of keep your heart rate really really low, like 40s.
Wow.
It's really low. So the idea you really are focusing on developing your your stretching, and focusing the breath Focusing the breath.
Away.
Loving it. Focusing the breath into that area of the body. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I think again, mentally, I think to form a habit is good, because you know when life gets tough and there are challenges that come your way, if you can maintain not just meditation, but I think with anything, with any form of fitness or routine, if you've got that routine, it's kind of something stable. Again, I think it's important it can go one way or the other, so it's a balance, I think. So it can either become too much of a mental anchor, or if you haven't got it at all, then there is no mental anchor. So again, it's about balance, I think.
Yeah. Because a lot of people do too much
Yes.
too soon, and like you say, it's too much, too overwhelming. They don't see those benefits or feel those benefits. But like you say, ticking over, having that routine that even when life's so stressful, you actually see the benefit of sticking to your routine, because it helps keep stress levels down, helps keep your brain ticking over and your body ticking, even when there's other factors going on.
Yeah, and I think it's again as well, if you can be disciplined and diligent in what it is that you're doing and focus on what it is that you're doing, it's a good feeling.
Is there any kind of ways, if anyone was listening as well, any ways or tips you could give to people to help with the discipline or working in those habits? Because getting up at 4:30 is not easy. It's especially when it's not up to you. Like, we do it, but we know we've got a client waiting for us, so it's a little bit easier. Out of choice for you, do you find it hard, or have you found a way around it?
So I think if it's getting up early in the morning, that's one thing. I think there's a book that I read called Atomic Habits, and that really kind of started it for me. And it's about making sure that you find the right part in the day to give yourself the best chance to focus and to pay attention and to be diligent about what it is that you're doing. So I think the first part of that is to find the right part in the day. Is it the morning for you? Is it midday? Everybody's got a different life. You've got to figure out where that fits for you. Everybody will be able to sit down with their day planner and figure out when that is. And I think another thing is, if you can make that consistent day in, day out, so if you're looking at forming a daily habit, then do it at the same time every day, because you will build up that you will build up that subconscious of knowing that you're there.
Yeah.
I think one of the hardest things though is to form the habit. So you've really just have to put the effort in.
That's why you need all the accountability, don't you, that you need, and all the kind of discipline people around you to keep you in that same.
Yeah, I think if you need to figure out what your motivation is in the first place. So figure out what it is what do you want out of what it is that you're doing, and pay attention to that and be diligent, and that'll help you form the habit. That's how it worked for me, and I think also allow yourself a slip. So if you have a day off, if you have a couple of days off, if you go on holiday, allow yourself that time. Don't speak badly to yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that's important as well. Don't try not to get frustrated. That's easier said than done.
Yeah.
I think, but I think, and as well, write stuff down. So if you feel like you're facing an obstacle constantly in forming this habit, say you get to day 7, day 8, day 10, and then everything just falls away, to make a note of it. Why? What influenced that? How did you feel when that happened? Try and kind of really dive into what stopped you forming the habit, and then push through. So yeah, I think the takeaway point there is you've just got to dig in. Yeah. You've got to find your motivation, focus on it, pay attention, be diligent, and just work at it, and then before you know it, you've got a habit.
I like that. Yeah. Well, we find when new members or new clients come in, or if we're like resetting any goals for members, we help them try and find their motivation by asking them the 3 whys, don't we? Where you ask them what we're working towards and why. So it might start off with them saying weight loss. But as you know, if it's a weight loss goal, one weekend you can soon talk yourself into, I'll just do it next week, I'll do it this week, or you can talk yourself out of it quite easily. So then we say, well, why do you want to achieve weight loss? And it might be because I don't feel as good about myself anymore. It's like, well, why do you want to feel better about yourself? And then they'll reel off all the reasons why. And then it's like, that's your true motivation. So that is what you're going to think about every time that you feel you can't do it, or you won't do it, or you want to put it all off. It's like, bring yourself back to that third reason why, the real reason, rather than the weight loss, or I just want to look a bit better, or
go specific, be specific. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that definitely. That as I said, that's you got to figure out what your prime motivator is.
Yeah.
And then be tough on yourself to get it done.
Yeah.
That's the only way you get stuff done, right? Hard work.
Yeah.
There's no easy fix. There's no pill. There's
as much as we get told that there is pills and there is plans.
I mean, and I guess that's that's another thing. It's social media and its influence on us all. Like you say, the pills that will you don't need to train, you just got to take a pill. Well, of course the lazy human wants to do that. Yeah. Of course the lazy human does, but that's why we need to knuckle down.
Yeah. But just thinking back to what you said at the beginning, like seeing the blue sky, seeing greenery, hearing the birds, you'll never get that from taking a pill. And it's all those benefits and that connection of being present, like you said, you'd never get that from a pill. So yes, it might burn fat, or not that they do, but whatever that pill says it would do, it wouldn't do it to the extent of how it would if you actually did it in real life, does it?
Exactly. And well, you guys will know better than me, but the sensations and the chemical release from training, you're not going to get that from a pill either. No. You're not going to get the level of fitness. You're not going.
Or satisfaction and confidence. So what we were saying before, wasn't it? The confidence you get of, God, I've just lifted that today and I didn't feel like very strong. Or And
I think as well, like for me, a huge part of any way you train is the culture. So what it actually feels like when you go into that place. The classes that I go to, it's just a joy. It's a joy to be. I mean, when I say it's a joy, after an hour when I'm laying on the floor and can't talk.
It's a joy walking in.
But he said that. A client this morning said to me, she said, I don't know why, but my husband every time says, when I'm off to the gym, says, enjoy. And she's like, I'm not going to enjoy it, am I? But in a weird way, you kind of do.
It's everything else that comes with it, though. Like so the chemicals, the feeling afterwards, and just all the other benefits that you can't get. You can't get it online, like with all online training programs and things like that. You don't get the same, and you certainly can't get it from a pill either. So
and I think us humans are social creatures as well. So if we're amassing in a place where we're all doing the same thing and we're vibing together, it's a good feeling. So you've got that side of it as well.
And you all know you're there to improve as well. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah. And again, you can rock up to work. We've all done it. We've all rocked up to one of those classes and felt like, I don't really fancy this. Don't really fancy this. But then the other 20 people will drag you through it, and then you feel better afterwards.
Always,
Yeah.
And it's like you said before about being disciplined and working through it. It's you just got to ignore that internal voice going, but you're a bit tired. You might feel better if you just sit and do nothing. It's like we'll so easily convince ourselves into thinking that doing nothing will give us more energy and make us feel less tired. But sometimes doing more keeps you going and keeps your energy levels up rather than not to the point of overburdening and doing too much. Overburdening? That's not the word I wanted to use. But you know what I mean? Burn it out, yeah. I just thought, what the hell did I just say? But yeah. Do you have any more questions on the health and fitness front?
Yeah, so we've obviously touched on it a little bit there, but like sort of building community and getting people training and getting people together is almost like what you did with Ebb and Flow as well. I know you've already said that you're not as involved now, but you're still going. So where did that come from?
Well, so Ebb and Flow, a way of living. That's the slogan. And again, I think it'd be good to get Tony to talk a little bit more in depth about that. But effectively, that the whole genesis of Ebb and Flow was it was a way of living. So it was taking what it was that we love doing as a family, and our principles, how we choose to live, and just push that out through a business. And yes, paddleboarding was kind of the main facet, but there was more to it than that. There was the beach cleans, the community beach cleans, the whole sense of bringing the community together through an activity or shared values. That's kind of the underpinning value of Ebb and Flow.
Yeah. So are you still involved a little bit in that, or have you?
So obviously it's, the paddleboarding's seasonal, so we'll be coming into the season now. So if Tony does require my skills as an instructor, then I'll be there. Yeah.
Because I was going to ask, obviously a big thing that you just touched on as well that you do is sustainability and looking after the environment, looking after our planet, as well as looking after ourselves. So just wanted to dive into that really and just get a good insight into your thoughts and opinions of how we could all live a more sustainable life, if you've got any tips for us, and just your general point of view really, just because I like the planet and I think it's interesting.
Yeah, so again, I think it depends how deep you want to dive into that, right? Like in terms of yourself. In terms of, so if I rewind, so Orsted where I work, so that was, again, there was a whole shift that went on around about the same time that brought about Ebb and Flow, and I kind of came out of, I always worked in oil and gas, so I came out of oil and gas into kind of renewables, just to try and be more authentic, and I think if you can weave that narrative through the fabric of your day-to-day life, then it feels more authentic. So we all recycle, or we should all recycle, but then if you can kind of recycle. With Ebb and Flow, we've kind of linked that to the community beach clean, so you kind of see the effect, the cause and effect kind of thing, in terms of what happens when litter does end up in the water stream, or stuff does end up in the sea, or in animals. Yeah. So, I think, David Attenborough, one of my idols, he kind of jumped straight into our TV screens many years ago with Blue Planet, and the massively devastating effects of particularly plastic. Really, if we're honest with ourselves, it's plastic and microplastic that's the biggest problem, and that's just through us overusing and not using responsibly. But yeah, in terms of sustainability itself, so we conserve water, we kind of reduce shower times, we use kind of alternative products for washing clothes, cloths to wash with. So I think it's just about the small things.
Small changes.
The small changes.
A lot of people are doing them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's that whole thing, isn't it? Like 1% a day. across everybody in the UK does make a difference.
Because people think like, oh, it's not going to make a difference if I don't do it, but if everyone had that mentality, then yeah, it won't. But if you think, oh, like say that one small change, if everyone's doing it, then yeah. But you just said about microplastics as well. This is something I've only ever heard once on another podcast, and never even knew that they were a thing a few years ago. Would you mind just explaining what you know about
quite again? If you dive deep enough, you will shock yourself.
Yeah.
Scare yourself is what I'll probably say. So there is a study. There's a study out there now. I'm sure it's a website as well. Plastic in our blood. So this is about essentially if you chuck away a plastic bottle and it goes into the environment, eventually that will break down into bigger pieces, then smaller, until it goes from macroplastic, which you can see, to microplastic, which is even smaller. And then obviously what happens then is it's in the environment, then it goes into the food chain, so in the algae food chain, and then it comes all the way back up the food chain into the food that we eat.
Yeah.
So there's, I'm sure it's plastic in our blood. There's a website, there's an Instagram page. If you're interested in that sort of thing, go and check it out, because it's, we're getting the scientific evidence through to show that we've got plastic inside of us.
Yeah. Because I heard about the tyres and how tyres give microplastics, and again, like you say, it's all like the worms, and if it goes into the sea, the fish, and all those smaller animals, like you say, that would then eat those smaller plastics that we don't even see because they're so small. But like you say, then work our way up, and it's crazy when you do think about it. And then it's just highlighting okay, when can we walk more or get more public transport and try and get less of other forms of pollution out there.
Yeah.
I can't get words out today. Sorry, I'm really with it. You know what I'm trying to say.
I think anything that we can do to reduce, but there's a lot already out there.
Yeah.
And it's a reality that it's not really
hard to undo.
Not really in the mainstream media, I don't think.
Well, that's why I thought it'd be worth talking over what microplastics are, because I don't think many people really know.
So tiny, you can't see them really, but it's the stuff. Again, if you check out the plastic in our blood, they've got some really good information on there. There's a website as well, and also they've got videos of actually pulling like a piece of fish to pieces and put it in the microscope and seeing the microplastic inside the flesh of the fish, because the fish is consuming the plastic from the environment.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you do much in terms of like changing your diet around off the back of that then, or is it one of the things that we can't really control too much?
I'm not going to sit here and I don't profess to know enough information really, but I try to eat a healthy diet, as healthy as I can, and consume, not try to have whole foods, not processed foods, and try to limit the amount of waste that we produce from food. But it's such a rabbit hole to get down into. Like if you go, the best way to eat a piece of fish is go and catch it yourself and stick it under a microscope and see if there's any plastic in it. Again, I think stuff that ends up in this again. This could be a whole other podcast.
Because I heard something as well the other day, and it did, like you said, you start to think, is it just helpless? Like, what can I do? But it was saying about plastic boxes that you might heat your food up in or contain food in, and it said whenever you microwave it, you're actually taking some of the plastics and chemicals out, and then it's in your food. It's like if you do that every day for your whole life, it was saying the effects, and it was like God, you just feel like there's just one thing after the other, that we think that we've made plastic because it's convenient and good for us, and then it's like, oh, actually, it's really not. So it's like having more metal or glass Tupperware and wooden tops rather than the plastic ones. But that's just another one just to add to it.
Yeah, it is. It's a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I think everywhere you turn, you can get yourself down a rabbit hole in the carbon produced from making stuff, the pollution, the CO2 footprint from making stuff.
Yeah.
What you're consuming, what's in what you're consuming.
Yeah.
Again, I think it's you can get down a rabbit hole with it. I guess that's down to every individual. If you want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. I was going to say, just to flip that round so we don't end on that the rabbit hole, or what is life kind of ending. Do you have 3 kind of tips that you could give to us and our listeners of living a healthy lifestyle, a more sustainable lifestyle? Like just 3 nice little tips that someone could like implement to their life, say tomorrow, like easy to do, not as much resistance, like you say.
Yeah, so I think I've already mentioned one, which is if you want to do something different and you want to make a change, then do a bit of planning, sit down and figure out where in your day it fits, and that is the path of least resistance, right? So that's your best chance of achieving is to put it in that time slot. Then I think the second thing is be brutal with yourself. Don't be passive. Don't put it off. Don't make an excuse. If you're going to commit to something, then commit to it. And then I think thirdly is try not to think too much about I need to be here, this is my goal. I think that can lead to a lot of frustration. I've been in that seat before where, when you're younger and you want more muscle mass and you're getting bigger and you're like, well, it's not happening, but it is.
Yeah.
It's just happening gradually and slowly, and I think there's a lot to be said about talking to yourself kindly as well. And just, that might sound a bit rude, but yes, use the aggression, use your aggression and your anger to get that extra rep or whatever. But generally, I think talk to yourself nicely, like you're talking to your kids, or like you're talking to your pet dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that a couple of times. Talk to you how you talk to your best friend. So you'd never say, "Why are you wearing that? You look fat." Like you'd never say that to your best friend, but you'd say it to yourself and say, "Oh, I look fat," or whatever else.
Yeah, and I think we all do it.
Yeah.
I do it. We all talk harshly to ourselves.
Yeah. Just catching that thought, isn't it, and going, "No, we don't do this."
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say they're 3 decent takeaways that I've found implementing in my 40s to be good for me.
Yeah. Well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, that was good. That really good.
Yeah, really good to have you on. And like you say, next time I might have turning him as well.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes, thank you.